Coming up on today's afternoon, CM Punk talks Brawl out on Instagram.
NXT's rating success.
AEW shifts its time slot for next week's Tuesday Night War.
And an AEW wrestler is set for a big push.
I'm Michael Hamflett.
And I'm Phil Chambers.
And this is the after news, because it's in the afternoon bit of the day.
We're in England.
Indeed. Yeah, we're in America or anywhere else now. You can watch it whenever you want, but we're in the afternoon, so you are too. And so is CM Punk. He's in the afternoon of his career, Phil, but he's still having fun with some of the prior months. He was on Instagram the other day. This was a follow-up post to a picture that Roxanne Perez posted. They like their little bit of banter back and forth in the locker room. He was going with their father figure in a way. And she's holding a belt that she retained, obviously, in a match against Julia in the big CW debut in Chicago. And she said, told you Chicago was going to be my town. She added him in it. The picture is of him looking frustrated and sick of it because they've taken their friendship and they've had a bit of bickering on screen. Well, Punk replied, right, you're going to have to unpick this one for me. Detective Chambers.
As you always do with CM Punk. He is quite subtle.
Yes. So he's replied and he said, I'm hurt, I'm old, I'm tired, and I work with children. Now, right, I know Roxanne Perez is quite young.
Yeah.
But Punk isn't that old. And he can't be that hurt and tired because he's heading into Hell in a Cell against Drew McIntyre this weekend. What's he referencing?
I don't know, to be honest. Maybe some old beef, potentially. I mean, it is CM Punk.
I'm going through every line of the pipe.
I don't think he's ever actually had any beef.
No, well, that was funny. He was using it like a brawl out. Like this obviously generated a bunch of discussion.
He's cheeky chappy,
isn't he? Like a bunch of discussion over it. It's why we're talking about it now ultimately. And I wonder if, oddly, the fact that it's so upfront at this point and sort of, I think the Young Bucks, I noticed this when we were seeing them at Wembley, where they were just shouting down some CM Punk chants, and the Jack Perry character was kind of part of it, really.
Yeah.
I kind of feel like this is wrestling's version of healing, isn't it? Everybody has gotten over it enough to just be completely out front about it. When it's all really needly and a bit uncomfortable and oh god, you think.
Once the jabs start feeling a little bit jovial, it's we're over the hill.
Everybody's taking a breath. AEW's minted, find out all the details about their TV deal in our morning news that should be already available wherever you get these. But yeah, this one sort of feels a bit more all fun and games. I'm sure there's nobody on the East End that's going to read this and be like, oh, let me at him.
We're not going to get any comeback on the next episode of Collision or whatever, where they're shooting on him back.
Exactly. Maybe time is starting to heal the wounds.
Maybe. I mean, time is supposedly heals all wounds. Unless you see him punch.
Actually, nothing heals him.
So it's nice to see that he's had some personal growth.
You see this massive gaping wound? I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to eat some crisps and then I'm going to grab it with my salty fingers.
And then squirt some lemon in it.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just nice to see. I like stuff
bit
like
of fun,
this.
Innit?
It's a bit of fun.
It's
a bit of fun on the internet.
Yeah.
But speaking of a bit of fun, NXT was the other night on the CW network for the first time in the Allstate Arena in Chicago, as you say. CW are quite happy about it.
Buzzing.
They put out a press release saying just how happy they are about it. And they touted some massive rating successes for both the CW network and for NXT itself. So it had 895,000 viewers, which is a 44% increase from last week. And in the 18 to 49 demo, they did a 0.26, which is a 37% increase week over week.
Graphs are going up.
But not only that, obviously CW would be pleased with that, but when you compare it to CW's averages, it is 143% from CW's averages, which is kind of nuts, and you can see why they'd be quite happy about this new acquisition that they've had. Obviously it had CM Punk on it, which is gonna help things.
Yeah.
And they made a big deal out of it, and advertising on Raw and SmackDown, and getting eyes over to the CW.
Randy Orton and John Evans next week.
You've got Randy Orton in his hometown next week in St. Louis. So hopefully they get another big week coming from this. But it's a good start to NXT on the CW network.
Yeah. If you compare, obviously, numbers, you're looking at one of the last big episodes, pretty much this time last year in the last Tuesday Night War. They know that when they stack these up, they're going to get a boost off it, and who knows what the real number is. This is a WWE tactic.
Yeah, it'll settle down.
Yeah.
It won't be this forever.
However, obviously, it does reflect, I think, you don't have a leap as big as this without it being a kind of a growth product underneath. We've talked at length about NXT's large, commercial and creative success stories that there has been under, a Shawn Michaels, but we'll see how this levels out. CW, of course, unless I'm mistaken, Americans will correct me in the comments below, network television as opposed to cable, so you got more homes to play with. It was like
Yep.
when SmackDown was on Fox, it was like, well, the audience is potentially bigger than ever.
Yeah,
Not
but
that you realise that.
traditionally lower ratings than the USA Network.
Yes.
For whatever reason.
For however that works, we can't pretend to get that.
I assume USA Network has a lot more money
Yeah,
behind it because it's cable.
But yeah, CW obviously, especially I think because it's the network specifically coming out and saying how happy they were. Now we know these people to be the big paymasters. We all still have to adjust our brains a bit. It's not about necessarily those pay-per-views and those PLEs as much as it is every single week. What are you doing for me lately? That kind of thing. So, big news. I kind of think as well, with like I didn't really like the show on Tuesday, if I'm honest, but as somebody that watches every single week, I do wonder if there will be the temptation to sort of move more of the television to the big arenas, and this was very much laid out like an old takeover, like just with lesser match quality, and you wonder how much they might think again about trying to get NXT back on the road if it reflects in numbers.
It adds a hell of a lot to NXT to be back on the road, even if it's not as big arenas as this.
You certainly can't do it weekly.
Yeah, you can't do that. But like smaller arenas, just getting people out on the road, I think there's a huge thing to say for it, because you've got to remember NXT is still a training brand. Like these people are coming in, a lot of them don't have that much wrestling experience before. Some of them obviously have been on the independent scene, but others have come straight into WWE and this is the only thing they know. So the Performance Center is the only crowd they know, which, let's face it, is it's on your side.
Yeah,
you're not going to have to do
yeah.
a lot of crowd work to get them on your side, or as much as you would if you're going to different towns every single night, and you're experiencing different audiences and figuring out how to get over in front of everybody instead of just the hardcore fan base that you have in the Performance Center.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. We'll see next week again with the Randy Orton match. I think that'll be another tell of like how much this will carry. And the new Performance Center apparently is getting rebadged in line with NXT, which has been very Triple H'd, like in terms of its aesthetic. I think that's the generous way to put it. Not enough splatters of paint for my liking, if I'm honest. But we'll see. We'll see. This is a big new era for like new everything. They're making no secret about it. It's the usual WWE sledgehammer subtlety. They want you to think of this as this almost like box fresh NXT. So we will see how it goes, and we will see how it goes next week in less of a Tuesday night war than we thought we were going to have. For the last couple of years, AEW has been moved to Tuesday night around this date, which is typically the spot that NXT is occupied. It's been a nice bit of fun, a bit of a flashback to the Wednesday Night War without any of the extended and sustained hatred. It's just like a 1 week bit of fun. WWE have absolutely taken the piss with their stupid stunt casting on NXT. AEW, to be fair, have had title.
What if we put on The Undertaker?
What's the dead man doing in the Performance Center? Running a work, kid. Ever heard of it? But like AEW have done Title Tuesdays and stuff like that. Doesn't feel like, based on last night's Dynamite, that they're going to necessarily load it up next week. They've got Wrestle Dream to worry about more than Title Tuesday. And there's a little time shift that's going to mean there's only going to be the 1 hour going head-to-head rather than the 2 straight back-to-back. So next week's Dynamite will be still subtitled Title Tuesday, following on from the 5-year anniversary last night. However, it's going to air at what they're now calling a special start time due to the Tuesday, 9/8 Central as opposed to 8/7 Central, which is when NXT airs. So yeah, there's going to be 1 hour where they're head-to-head, but this way around, NXT will get the jump, but then AEW will get the second hour unopposed. I think they've got that the right way around. But you'll still get your like that hour, if anything. It might be a bit more, especially I would imagine on WWE's side. I think there'll be this conscious effort to be like, right, steal the hour, win the hour, win the hour, win the hour.
There will be, and like advertising in the first hour, what's coming in the second hour, constantly, and then I assume Dynamite will start with something really stupid and crazy, like, I don't know, Suzuki versus Bryan Danielson again, or something. You'll have like just be a stunt match, like, there you go.
You'll have like the NXT first hour open with like Ava on the phone. She hasn't got a surname, she's Rock's daughter, general manager of NXT and the Booker and Cooker of the Year. She's on the phone to somebody and you're not quite sure who it is, but like all the NXT wrestlers are buzzing around saying, yeah, Ava's on the phone, and then like 5 minutes before Dynamite starts, she's like, you're just pulling up, that's great, see you in a minute, Dad. The Roxy, like some bollocks is going to happen like that. This is it. It can just be fun when it's only 1 week a year, rather than everybody just tearing their hair out. It can be quite a lot of fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Looking forward to it. See what each of them bring out. It's always dumb. The Undertaker one was the best.
It really was.
Like, what if we put like The Undertaker and Cody and John Cena and just put them on things?
Cody Rhodes was the guest general manager. I love that. He's like, this is it's kind of what Dusty wanted me to do. Like when he was running NXT down here, he said, son, one day I want you to be the guest GM for the night. So,
it's good stuff.
All to look forward to.
But speaking of AEW as well, a wrestler is set for a big old push, apparently, according to Fightful Select. Now, Konosuke Takeshita,
Yes!
you may have noticed, has been heavily featured recently. And it's obviously not an accident. So he has been showing up in top feuds, top main events and things, and it's in order to set up this extended push that is coming very soon, within the next 2 weeks, according to Sean Ross Sapp and Fightful Select, with a run-up into a major storyline and then into a big pay-per-view spot. Yes. What that exactly is yet to be determined, but the idea is to push him up to the upper card and keep him there. And
overdue.
Yeah, absolutely. So what do you think the match is going to be?
Obviously, it's the last night of Dynamite. He interjects himself in the Will Ospreay Ricochet match, and there he is, immediately inserted into the three-way for Wrestle Dream. But this feels like it's talking beyond that, doesn't it? Like, that match is going to be unbelievable.
Yeah, but this feels like what's next.
Yeah, it's certainly a way, if they were wanting to get the belt off, I guess they could get Ospreay's international title onto him. But again, I feel like maybe they're speaking beyond this for Takeshita. I certainly felt as though they were teasing Takeshita being the guy to first lay a pin on Okada. I gave that away to Danielson last night. I don't know about that, but certainly you could have had Okada defending the belt in the Continental Classic, as is the rule in the G1, and then maybe Takeshita winning that tournament and thus winning that belt by defeating Okada. Not that the belt is particularly high than the international, but it would certainly make it feel like that. Its status in that December period, if you think about last year's tournament, felt like the most important thing on the show, didn't it? So they could easily do that again. And it really does set Takeshita up for a big 2025. It reminds me, I think the buzz around Takeshita now that he's actually back and featuring on television and he's had this brilliant G1 is exactly where we were this time last year with Swerve Strickland, where it was like 2024 has to be that man's year. Do not fumble a ball. AEW didn't, and Swerve grabbed it and ran with it. You kind of need to repeat that formula with Takeshita, I think, in 2025. I think he's a guy that is like, he's been primed for longer than that, but especially right now, there is a real sweet spot where people have got their faith back and they feel like don't brutalise that faith by just not pushing him. Actually reward it and reward that bubbling investment. Give him something big going into 2025 and you could be looking at like a world title contender, I think.
Guy to retire Bryan Danielson?
Oh my, yeah, and he would do it in a violent and disgusting way as well.
Takeshita Danielson yet, have we?
I can't remember. Like, the thing is, Takeshita's had like such a slew of unbelievable bangers.
TV matches,
Yeah, that Danielson might have been one that snuck in there. I want it again, and I want it for the belt, and I want it in the main event.
With Danielson going all out in the main event of a pay-per-view against Takeshita will be tasty.
It's Tony Khan, to be fair, is a lot more liberal with his potential dream matches now as well. Gone are the days where we were like waiting for the Punk Omega graphic or the Punk Cody graphic that's never dropped. We get them now. So fingers crossed this is the smoke to this fire.
Absolutely, and let us know down in the comments below what match you want to see him in.
And I guess, Phil, once they've left that comment, are they probably just going to switch off their laptops, their phones, their televisions?
No, they're going to continue on their YouTube journey right here. Goodbye.